With everyone copying the same templates, aren't we going to have all the same videos? It's going to be like AI, but worse. If you're tired of the old cookie cutter marketing advice and want to take your personal brand to the next level with bold, actionable strategies that truly reflect you, you're in the right place. Let's untangle your marketing mayhem with Zoe, the video confidence coach, on the Unboring Your Brand podcast. Unboring Your Brand was recorded on Wadawurrung land. This episode is a callback to episode 48, Stop Letting Templates Ruin Your Videos. This was a bit of a feisty one that people liked, but if you have already listened to this episode, feel free to check on and I'll see you next week. For those who haven't, let me draw you in and bring you on the adventure about a little bit of a bee in a bonnet I had, maybe less so now, about how templates are making you look and feel like everyone else, and having the world of gurus making everyone do the same processes is draining the uniqueness out of the internet. And this was before AI had taken over the world, to an extent. So, the idea of a template is to help you, not to be your boss. And I wanted to give you an option to do a little template order of your own, so you can go and look back and see all the templates that you may be using, or you may have just kept in an archive folder. If not, feel free to delete them. I recommend it. Enjoy the rant. Again, a story that is prompted from my conversations this week, and we're going to go into a little bit more in depth into the mindset and maybe something that might be useful for you when you're looking for templates or guides or rules online, and when you hear from marketers or people in spheres of interest that you're currently engaging with, and they give you either a template or a set of rules to follow. Everything is all made up. We can always bend and break these rules and templates to our own needs. As always, as when I record these podcast episodes, it's usually once a week during my Video Confidence Connect live stream. Again, those who are watching live, hello. Feel free to comment below. All my podcast episodes usually get prompted by a story that I've had, that I have talked to either a client of mine, a prospective lead, or at a networking event. And this particular week, I was at a networking event, a virtual one based out in Brizzy. And I met someone, so we have a group of us in a Zoom room. There was about 15 of us, and we got put into these breakout rooms, which are individual screens with one or two other people, or maybe three other people in the room. And I was paired with one of my past clients, we did some work together back in 2020, which is almost going to be 5 years ago now. And what we essentially got into this topic of checking in how they were going and how their life has changed since I last chatted with them. And it looked like that they had made a very large pivot in their life, that they had stopped working with the company that I was working with them in, and they had some babies, and now they're coming back into the industry, but working specifically with startups and the work they were doing. And she wanted to thank me wholeheartedly for the template that I gave her. And I said, I love you, but which one? Because when I work with leads and work with clients, both mainly with my coaching and consulting clients, I have a lot of tools, a lot of IP that I use to help break down these larger concepts, especially when you're taking on a new project and you just need to find a place to start. And this tool that I like to use a lot, which you can definitely see on my website and on my YouTube channel, is my customer avatar template. And she said to me, she thanked me so wholeheartedly for giving her the template and also giving her the tutorial on how to break it down and how to use this to her advantage. But she wanted to reiterate, and she said, but I had to adapt it to my own needs. And I'm so sorry for tweaking it and breaking the template, because I just needed to make this work for what I needed to. And I had to stop her there and say, don't apologize. A tool is meant to be used, even if it breaks. And a line that we eventually came out of our 5 minutes together, because of course this was our networking event and we were going between rooms. The tidbit that we came out of it both together was, rules are meant to help guide us, but they are there to be bended and maybe even broken. And that is a mentality that I wanted to bring in today's podcast episode, discussing about when you are not sure where to start on a project, or you know you need to achieve some sort of either way of thinking, way of doing a project or an activity or an action. And there are people, now of course these could be marketing gurus or people outline, or just people who have gone through the work of doing something that you're about to do yourself to hopefully make things easier. There's a reason why tutorials exist. There's a reason why step-by-step guides exist. They have existed for a very long time. But I want to stress to you that especially when coming across these out in the wild, or maybe they're even advertised to you either on social media or in your email list or however, that adapting these templates for you to use, because at the end of the day, these tools are tools. They are meant to be used to help you gain the knowledge, to help you achieve what you want to achieve in the way that you need to achieve it. These are supposed to be used by you, and they are supposed to provide a foundation. That is why they are usually quite generalized, and usually templates and tools are usually quite first or low stake type introductions into the knowledge that you're trying to acquire, because they're supposed to be designed for everyone to use, or at least the people who are interested in the subject that you're trying to engage with are using. And they are trying to provide a foundation for you to then go off and find more details about that particular subject or that particular, focus or whatever you're doing. And that's what I don't think a lot of people quite understand, especially when it comes to coming across templates, or you're hearing these, for example, 5-3-1 rule, or these various different ways of constricting information to be able to make it easier for you to, again, consume, format in your brain, and then spew out again, either teaching, for example, like in a podcast or a live stream, or maybe even teaching your team if you're working with a team, or maybe teaching your higher ups something that is important about how you do something or why you do something. So I want you to think about, when you come across these tools, it is okay to break them. It is okay to bend and break them. Of course, doing your best to kind of keep the original off to a side. So if something breaks completely, you can always go back to the original and go, okay, you were here, you worked, maybe I might follow you a bit better next time. It is important to evaluate and adapt them to suit your unique needs and situations. Blindly following formulas or templates or rules without any critical evaluation of your specific circumstances can stifle your own creativity and adaptability. Because again, these things are supposed to help you. These tools and these guides are supposed to help you achieve whatever you're wanting to achieve with them. So use them as the starting point that they're intended to be. Now, of course, for a lot of people who are working in industries who provide these tools are usually trying to keep them as their starting points, so then you can go and maybe hire them for more money, of course, than just free, or maybe just your email address, to help achieve what you want to achieve. And if that is not in the cards for you right now, maybe because you don't have the time, the money, or the energy to be able to afford that, using these tools as the starting point that they're intended to be is also okay. Being able to use them to personalize your experience on growing your personal brand. I know I said personalize a fair few times in that section there. Use them as the starting point that they're intended to be, but don't be afraid to break them either. Sticking to a formula or a template wholeheartedly isn't going to be beneficial to you. And of course, I have said this multiple times over today's podcast. But the rules at the end of the day are meant to guide us. So that example that I can come with over this past month is I'm working with someone on their marketing, and they have a lot of different facilities. They have 5 to 10 different things that they do in their business. And as you can imagine, that overwhelms them, but also overwhelms me when I'm trying to do my best to support them and trying to give them some sort of direction. So the way that we brought this all back down, and of course, this is what we do every time, is we bring it back to the customer. We bring it back to the client. We bring it back to, who are you doing this for? Why do they care? And then we start with that. And I discussed with them when it came specifically to their social media. They do get a lot of traction and a lot of leads generated specifically from their Facebook page, but also their Instagram page as well. And they've slowly acclimatized to both, even though social media wasn't really their forte and continues not really to be something that they enjoy doing. And I have discussed with them how, hey, once we get to a stage where we know what we're doing, we know what we're focusing on, from there we can start getting other people to do this work for us. If that is what you want to do. And again, you have now the tools and the knowledge to be able to clearly help someone who is going to help you with social media. So I digress. But when I talk to them about some rules, so say, for example, the 5-3-1 rule for pieces of content, they were quite surprised. It's like, oh, you're giving me these rules and I have to stick to them. No, these aren't necessarily something that you have to stick to. It's just a foundation. So the 5-3-1 rule, off the top of my head, it is a way of breaking down posts that for every 5 posts you do, 3 should be educational and bringing new people into the sphere of what you do and how you do it. One should be a very pinpointing selling post, specifically talking about the current project or campaign that you have going on, like explicitly talking about your current campaign. And then the other one left can be fairly free in regards to what you want to do with that particular post. Now, I'm not saying that this particular rule has to be followed. So what I'm saying, for every 5 posts that you have, 3 should be educational, 1 should be selling, and then of course the other one can be whatever you want it to be. And that gives you enough rules and that flexibility to be able to create those 5 pieces of content over a week, over 2 weeks, whatever your schedule is like, because this enables you to, again, start a foundation, start a starting point, break down this wall of overwhelming information specifically about social media, but marketing in general, into really easy, breakdownable tools that you can think about yourself, put it into a system and a process that you can in turn give to someone else if you have that ability, or just remind yourself whenever you have to do social media. Like, for example, for a couple of my clients that I usually don't get people on board to do social media anymore. I just help my legacy clients out from time to time, and we do social media once a month. Again, following these basic foundation rule sets that we've used and we've thought about over time to the point where it's all second nature at this point. We guide the ship in a particular direction, but we know that we have to do 3 posts a week. The posts have to be client focused, and one of them has to be specifically aimed at our corporate clients. Boom, done. Cool. We've broken down this really big overwhelm of what do we put on our social media of, every single month we know exactly what we're going to put on our social media. And breaking down this even more is, don't take what anyone says as the gospel truth. Now, I am not religious myself, but what I mean by the gospel truth is that what someone say, for example, someone who may have a larger audience than you, maybe more influence than you, or is just further along in their journey than you, what they say isn't always going to apply to your situation. Because the way that they grew online, for example, 10 years ago, is not the current situation that we're living in now. And how you would grow now is very different to how you would grow 10 or 15 years ago. And using a template as your foundation is useful because it gives you that knowledge, that foundational knowledge for you to bring in other tutorials, bring in other knowledge, maybe even talk to people who are more knowledgeable about the subject that you're wanting to particularly grab onto. And maybe you can spend that energy and time to talk to someone for that hour to be able to, again, you have the knowledge and that foundational knowledge from these templates, these rules, these guides, these tools, to then be able to be better informed once you go to, say, a networking event, or you go to a seminar, or maybe you take an online course. Whatever it may be, use these to your advantage as the foundational knowledge that they are. These aren't the be-all and end-all. These aren't a thing that is going to bend and break your business. It is okay to take parts from one tool and take parts from another tool if it is going to help you and help you grow. And if not, then that's okay. Let it go. You're not hurting anyone by not using the tool. And especially with a lot of lead magnet or people that I work with, they've got your email address and maybe they might be the right fit in the future. And if not, that's okay. You can just unsubscribe. The transaction has occurred. And as I mentioned before, not everything will work for every situation. So it's okay to bend and break to make it fit you. So hopefully for today's podcast, you've gotten a little bit of an idea of my mentality when it comes to guides and templates. I have a very large list of templates and guides that I'm currently working on uploading to my website to have it be available for people to be able to break down these large concepts when it comes to marketing and be able to break down these thoughts about where do I begin, where do I start, how do I even begin to grow a personal brand, Zoe? Well, you don't think about yourself. Thank you for listening or watching Unboring Your Brand. You can find detailed show notes with tools, offers, and episode transcriptions. Just click the first link in the description or go to vcc.training/podcast. Get involved and ask me anything about personal branding, video strategy, or just a friendly small business chat via my email, g'day@vcc.training. That is gday@vcc.training. The Video Confidence Coach would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I record my podcast. I pay my respects to their elders past and present. I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Look forward to me chatting at you next week, superstars.